reason with you, they make fun of you.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm asking you a simple question. Did Master Farad Muhammad have to go to school?
Yes, he did.
Okay, now why would Mahdi, Allah, the Son of God, have to go to school? Now, in the Bible, did Jesus have to go to school?
Yes, Jesus went to school.
Can you prove that to us today?
That's the book that he was reading, wasn't it?
Can you prove? Because it seemed like to me that I remember that it
But
was
in
said...
the book of Luke, you playing these little games, but you ain't asking me nothing I can't. I don't say things that I ain't
But well, see, what we're saying is that God had to go to all the universities of the land.
Did Jesus go to school?
Now, you're going to show us where Jesus went to school.
This is in the 4th chapter of Luke and the 16th verse. It says, and he came to Nazareth, where he had...
In the synagogue being glorified the Lord.
Brother, hold on. Tell the caller that I'm reading and to listen.
God is reading, and listen, is what you're saying.
Chapter of Luke and the 16th verse. It says, and he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read.
Okay, now I'm reading from John 7:15, and all of our viewers can see it. And the Jews marvel, saying, how knoweth this man letters, having never learned? Now,
that's like asking a person, how does a man understand science? But he ain't never went to our school and got our degree.
What we're trying to get at is, why did Master Farad Muhammad have to go to all the universities? And in fact, Mr. Muhammad, we're actually getting to a second question is, how can a man actually claim that he went to all the universities in the world?
We not finished with the first one. You asked me, did Jesus go to school?
No, I asked you, did Farad Muhammad go to school? And you jumped over on Jesus right quick.
Sir, you asked me, did Jesus learn to go to school? And I said, yes.
No, I said, why is it that Jesus didn't have to go to school? If you're going to quote me correctly. I said, why
I didn't never tell you that Jesus didn't go to school. You asked me after I said that Master Farad Muhammad went to school. You asked me, did Jesus have to go to school? I said, yes.
No, that's not what I said. I said, why is it? I said, why is it?
You enjoy it to you, and then you try to change the question.
No, I said, why is it that Master Farad Muhammad had to go at all these universities, but Jesus didn't? And you wanted to jump over and say, well, Jesus did.
You asked me, did Jesus go to school?
Okay, all right.
Told you yes.
All right, so how is it? Can you tell me how that one person can go to all the universities in the world? Let's listen to Elijah Muhammad.
No, sir.
We don't want to listen to Elijah Muhammad?
He didn't say that he went to
We're going to listen. We'll let the audience decide.
Let's go to this university and enroll there. And other universities he mentioned to me. And finally he told me this, that he had studied every educational systems of the civilized world.
How about that? Every educational system in the civilized world. And we heard it out of his mouth.
I've been talking about every educational system in every university.
He said every educational system in the world. What are you saying?
No, sir. Every educational system is not every university.
Okay. All right. Then I'm fine with that then. What is every educational system in the world? How about you tell us?
Means every civilization. Every civilization has its own educational system.
Okay. All right. So he could speak the language. How many languages?
Muhammad studied the civilizations of the earth.
Now, why would Muhammad have to study the civilizations of the world? Please tell me.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that that's what civilized means. It means to teach people the knowledge and wisdom.
Our question is, why does Allah need to go to school in every educational system in the civilized world? Why does he need to do that? Can you tell us that? I thought he was all-knowing.
No,
okay.
All-knowing.
Okay, let's ask it this way. Have you been to all the educational systems of the civilized world? And we have silence.
Let's go back to the first question you asked.
You don't like the way the questioning is going?
First of all, the Holy Quran tells you that Allah is the best knower. And how in the world are you going to be one who knows if you don't travel and study?
Sir, are you telling us that Allah has to travel and study? Are you honestly on television tonight telling us that Allah has to travel and study?
I'm telling you that over in the book of Genesis it tells you that.
That Allah has to travel
on
and
the
study?
way to Sodom, he said, I'm going down there to see if it's as bad as I done heard.
Okay, that's traveling and studying in all the educational systems of the civilized world. Sir, anybody in grade school knows that that is not the same thing. We went down to Lot.
You see how when they in over their head, they can't address nothing, you think?
This is simple, sir.
Just make
Genesis 19 saying, or Genesis 18 saying, we're going down to Sodom, means that he went to all the education. Was there a school in Sodom? I missed that. Was there a school in Sodom? Or was he going down to see what the homosexuals were doing? Now, are you saying...
What do you need to go down there for if you already know?
That's a far cry from going to all the schools in the civilized world, sir. Saying that you went down...
According to you, he shouldn't have had to go down there.
Okay, that's fine. But now, let's get back to the question of, does Allah need to go to school?
Yeah, see, now you're backing up.
No, I didn't back up. We loved how you did that. As a matter of fact, we will replay this on YouTube too. We're going to cut these clips up into small clips where we ask you questions, and here's what you're going to hear on the internet. We're going to hear the new Nation of Islam said that God had to go to school. And where did he go to school, folks? He went to school at Sodom and Gomorrah. Man, that is going to be really good for the new Nation of Islam. Do you want to back that up?
Notice, brother and sister, they are guilty of doing the same thing that they did with Jesus. And
sir, you are a far cry from Jesus.
No, sir.
Jesus was not able to be trapped by...
The only thing that's been changed is the skin that the mind is in. But the mind that you are addressing me with is the same wicked mind that Jesus people had.
Okay. Well, what's happening here? Are you doing okay? I mean, you
and twisted into something else.
Now, did I twist, or did you say that Jesus went down to learn something, God went down to learn something in the school at Sodom and Gomorrah? Because that's what we were talking about, going to school at all the universities in the civilized world, and you got God going to school at Sodom.
Tell you that God went to school at Sodom and Gomorrah.
Well, then why'd you bring it up in a discussion about God going to school then?
Duh, because you said that God didn't have to go to school.
I simply ask, did Allah have to go to school?
God knows everything.
Okay, now, what we're doing is we're going right down through here, and it just doesn't seem that you're going to answer any of our questions.
You're the one asked me why did I bring it up. You think that I'm not like you. When you quiet, you ain't listening to me. You thinking about what you're going to say next.
Well, I appreciate that. I am thinking ahead. I really don't have to listen because I know that you're not going to answer. It was evident.
Did I tell you a bigot?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What'd you say? And I want to discuss with you tonight.
All right, he just proved it.
You just proved that I'm a bigot.
You notice, that's why he didn't understand why I went to show him that God, the Lord, had to go to see if Sodom was bad as he had heard.
Okay, is that God going to school? Is that what you're saying now? You're clearing it up?
No, sir. I ain't clearing nothing up. I'm just saying what I told you before.
Okay, folks.
You don't know why I brought it up.
For our community, the Islamic God has to go to school.
There is no such thing as it.
A secret that is being kept from you that is perpetuating racism. Now here's my placard, and I really wanted to hold it up just like this because it is really very simple. It says right here, racism, what is keeping it alive? Now on the one that I handed them, I actually had a piece of paper across right here, and I had a piece of paper, right here, because this is a bit busy. And so let me just describe what it actually is. Right here is the Natural History Museum. Can you see that little placard right there? That's their logo, the Natural History Museum. And I have a very subtle indicator of racism right there. It's a guy in green, and he's got a hood on. And I have him planted right over the top of the Natural History Museum's logo. And I have their hero. Listen, folks, here is their hero right up there. See him? That is Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin is the primary mover when it comes to evolution. And I quoted from Charles Darwin before they set me down last night that Charles Darwin, now they had a Darwin Day couple of years back over there at the museum. And anybody who knows anything about the museum, knows anything about science at all, knows that Charles Darwin is the kingpin of the evolutionary movement. So in Descent of Man, the 1817 edition.
Okay, folks, that was 2013. We're going to have a history lesson here in Martinsville and Henry County. And it's not only a history lesson for us, it's actually history really for all the small towns and villages and communities throughout the United States that are watching us, because it really is time for us to take a step back and let's have a look at what actually has gone on, what is going on. And, you know, doesn't hurt to talk about things that sometimes people say that we ought not to talk about or they're not willing to talk about. Well, in 2013, this was me. That was 2013 that you were watching. I had been to a city council meeting, and one of the reasons I had been to the city council meeting will be demonstrated here shortly, because one of the council members had a problem with this particular image being put on a memorial quilt to be hung on a wall in Martinsville, Virginia, 2013. Her name was Naomi Hodge. Sorry, her name was Sharon Brooks Hodge. Naomi Hodge was at the same meeting, and we'll see a little bit of her as we go along. Why aren't we doing this? Well, the reason we're doing this is because, for one thing, it is an election year here in Martinsville. We have 4 individual seats that are going to open up, and right now Jennifer Bowles, and I'll basically see if I can give you a visual right quick. Jennifer Bowles is occupying one of those seats. That's her. She's the vice mayor. And let's see, then, so either I'm doing something or this thing is wanting to act on its own. That's her right there. This is Danny Turner. Danny Turner is also a city council member, and both of their terms are up. They're running. Here are their running mates, or who are their opponents. This is Aaron Rawls. This is L.C. Jones. Aaron is not a native to this area. L.C. Jones is. He is basically associated with the school system right now as a policeman. And so these 4 seats, these 2 seats are open, and there are 4 individuals that are trying to fill them. And we are going through a turmoil that is just simply unbelievable here in Martinsville and Henry County. And I'm basically saying this is the way it is everywhere. And the thing that generally does not happen is we generally don't get around, if you really get down to it, we generally don't get around to this level of dialogue. And I was basically in 2013 taking on pretty much establishment in regard to the things that were going on with Ms. Hodge, Sharon Brooks Hodge. Sharon Brooks Hodge has been brought up by Jennifer Bowles in one of the time frames where she called into the broadcast station. See, folks, for those of you that are actually not here, we have a local broadcast station that is cable access, and you know what it really means is we have a system here in this area where a dignitary who thinks that they have been wronged or that they need to make a public statement to the community, they can actually get on the local news station for this county. Say, for instance, if the mayor decides that she wants to out somebody or propose something that she can't seem to get through city council, technically she could call up the broadcast station and say, you know, I'd like to be on your 7 o'clock segment tonight, and it would happen. Greensboro, North Carolina, we're actually broadcasting into Greensboro, North Carolina tonight, Danville, Virginia. Technically, the same thing could happen over there. And individuals who have the internet, people who have antenna, people that are on cable, that accesses this cable access station, they would be able to hear their local mayor. Greensboro probably has 200,000 plus people. And, you know, you can't just call up ABC, NBC, CBS, affiliates like that and get on the air. But here you can, and so can I. I have to pay for it. They would be guests. Most likely, Star News would like to have the news that's actually happening right then, and especially if it was going to be something that was going to be controversial and nobody else would cover it, you would be able to go to it. Star News did a press release for us when we started our tent in June. And so it is a very unique situation. And so in this unique situation, I am at City Council in 2013, and I ended up getting set down because the mayor and city council members did not want to hear what I was saying. Now, this is going to surprise you, I think. While I was making my plea, another individual was in the midst of telling Sharon Hodge that she had disrespected everybody in the community. That's Chad Martin. Consequently, Chad Martin, it's not consequently, it's just a unique situation. Chad is now on the city council and his seat is not up. He actually was elected in 2020 and began his term in 2021. And so I am actually taking up for Sharon Hodge. Sharon Hodge is right behind the word Chad. Up on the podium there, that's the mayor, Kim Atkins. Danny Turner is over here to right around where Chad's head is. That's Danny Turner. And Danny Turner doesn't like what I'm saying either. And I am actually taking up for Ms. Hodge. Had been taking up for her the entire time that she made her statement about what was being represented on that quilt. So this is what we're going to do tonight. We are going to actually set you up. And when I say that sometimes we need to listen to a certain thing, this is something that I found on YouTube. And it is actually Bill Cosby. And I am telling you that you are not going to believe what you are about to hear. Take a listen.
Tell the history of slavery right, you got a big problem on your hands. The slave trader didn't take some savage out of Africa. He took a human being. Now, if you want to look history right straight in the eye, you're going to get a black eye.
Wait a minute. Is this Bill Cosby?
Most Hollywood films, though, even the early ones, weren't really nasty. Nobody was sitting around saying, hey, let's take care of the niggers.
Did Bill Cosby just drop the N-bomb?
Are we talking about the same Bill Cosby? Bill Cosby's the only black man in America who could do that and more or less get away with it.
Napoleon once said history is a fable agreed upon, and the fable agreed upon up to now is that American history is white on white.
What in the critical race theory is going on?
Now, that was pretty amazing. Bill Cosby simply making...
Are the mainstream media protecting Anthony Fauci, or does Anthony Fauci refuse to talk to challenging me?
So, that was pretty incredible. Not that guy, but not that guy either. Bill Cosby. When you hear Russell Brand come across your YouTube, you know that you better get it off. So, Google fed that up next. But, you know, when we were listening to Bill Cosby was actually at a page in his life where he had started instructing young people and grown-ups. And in that instruction, I am pretty sure he offended a lot of people. And this is what I'd like to say about that. That is actually a documentary that's out there, and it contains a lot of information about Bill Cosby. I would really like to ask you, why is it that Bill Cosby was taken down late in his life? You ever stop and think about Martha Stewart? Why Martha Stewart, out of all of the individuals, maybe you're a young person, don't know Martha Stewart. She's an individual who was just on top of the world when it came to decorating homes, Southern homes, and things of that nature. And just all of a sudden, she gets picked out of a crowd for insider trading. In other words, she got some information that helped her buy some stock, and then she goes to jail. And think of all the individuals that are involved in doing that right now. And Martha Stewart gets picked to go to jail. And think of all the individuals who have been involved in misbehavior with women. People like Jeffrey Epstein, who has been known forever. People like Bill Clinton were going out to his island. Everybody knew what was going on Epstein's island. Donald Trump went out there, and this was before he was president. And you know, just all kinds of nefarious activity, sexual in nature, going on all over the globe, all over the United States. And all of a sudden, Bill Cosby gets picked out, and he ends up being the individual that goes to prison. I don't remember how old he was, but I'm just saying to you as an audience, is it something that he said? Is there something to what he was actually saying, that when you really get down to it, that the slave traders didn't just go and bring savages over to the United States? In the slave trade, they brought human beings. Can it be denied that they brought human beings and that it took a tremendous amount of time? As that spokesman said, what did he say? What in the critical race theory is going on for Bill Cosby to be able to say the things that he was saying? And so what he was doing is actually, he was explaining a lot of the things that have taken place. Now, I want to give you another instance here, and this is a local Islamic fellow. He is the Nation of Islam, and I want you to listen to what he says. And I don't want you to forget my placard either. My placard is, in fact, telling on the school system. Our school system, 1960 textbook, our school system has been telling us that evolution is factual, and here is the evolutionary ladder. This is the tree, and on it, the white man is reigning at the top, and beyond him, what does Darwin say? Darwin said, the Negro is closer to the gorilla than Caucasian. Descent of Man, page 200. Our city has a massive natural history museum. I have them actually with a hood on. This is what I say about them. It's cloaked, basically elitism, white hierarchy. What are they doing there? They're promoting evolution. Well, who in the world would say that evolution actually is racist in its very makeup? I'm saying that the man himself, the father of it, said it. He is basically saying that one part of the race is inferior, and what happens? Let's let the Islamic fellow. Now, I've had several discussions with him. Caleb has had a discussion with him live on television. This is a panel where he's been brought in, and there's no holds barred. I get to say anything I want to, and he gets to say anything he wants to, and Tony Jones can say anything he wants to, and Charles is there staring it. Are you ready? Take a listen.
I have a problem with skin color, Johnny. I have a problem with your mind. See, that's why God told us to take the mind of Christ, because the mind you have is no good.
What is the problem that I have? I mean, do you see me mistreated?
The problem is, Johnny, you have been taught, and you come up in a world where it favors you, and everything.
Do you really know
everything,
me?
His opinions.
Well, I say his mind. His mind is what the problem is, and Johnny's mind is by Johnny attacking ministers. He wrong. God never did that. God attacked. Jesus never did that. Jesus attacked the religious leaders, yes, okay, because they was trying to get rid of Jesus, because the religious leaders and the rich had a thing going.
That's what's
and
going
Jesus
on in Martinsville.
I know that. And Jesus came talking about a kingdom for the poor. And that's what I'm talking about right now.
I'll tell you this. In the Martinsville Church of Christ, when a black man comes in, don't nobody lock their pocketbooks up. The first man that was in the Martinsville Church of Christ, the day he came, the first night he came, he had actually been taken off his job for a bomb threat. And the lady who got him the job walked in and said, Johnny, do you know that the police just came out for him for a bomb threat? And I said, I don't care if they did. The man came to try to learn something, and he gets a chance just like everybody else.
Do you think local ministers take advantage of people?
Okay, so we end up getting off into religion when in reality what he was talking about is the schooling that each of us has.
The problem is, Johnny, you have been taught, and you come up in a world where it favors you.
Now, is that the case? Well, if you are listening, you might be wanting to deny that and say, no, it really did not favor us. He's talking about white people. But can you deny that if you have black children in the classroom or you have brown children in the classroom, we say black and brown, no one is really the color that anybody talks. I'm not white. You can look at me, I'm pasty something or other. There's no telling what the real color used to be. The crayon would have a color for what I look like. But I'm saying, as we were being taught in our classroom, and not myself in particular, my parents were pushing back on evolution big time. They were hating the school system back then. But nevertheless, when you are studying through your studies and you're going into biology and you just keep going up the ladder as far as your education is concerned, this stuff is piled on you. It is constantly piled on you. And if you're going to be anybody in like the academic world, or if you're going to be a doctor, nurse, whatever, you're going to end up having to go through this garbage being put into your head because every hypothesis goes back to something that has to do with evolution. And so, in that sense, it is the case. And so what actually is continuing to happen? We continue to have this constant back and forth. And when you start talking about being competitive in our nation, you have individuals who know that they have actually been reared in a second-class setting in our school system. Now, those of us who are not aware of that, who don't happen to be black or brown, we aren't necessarily aware of it. But if you are sitting in a classroom and you're actually looking at the evolutionary theory, and then you basically see on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere in 2009, this was a picture of Michelle Obama, and somebody made it up and it stayed there. And that's the kind of rhetoric that you're consistently bombarded with. And so this is the kind of thing that is going on I would say, underneath other things that we see, and often it is the case that we're just not recognizing it or no one is pointing it out. And so that's what our broadcast is tonight. What I'm wanting to help people in Martinsville and Henry County particularly, if you're in the greater two-state area, I don't really think that you're going to have a problem watching this, even though it is local politics, because this is the kind of thing that is going on in every area. And so this is basically, this is us. This is the ground that the Church of Christ occupies in this area. This is in particular what Caleb and I deal with on a regular basis. Take a listen to this.
Excuse me, this way. I have as much media time as anybody that's going to be represented. I have 5 hours of media a week. Can you tell me what your criteria is for media?
All I know is that man said you leave until you leave.
Which one?
That jump.
Okay, folks, time for What Does the Bible...
Now, did you see that? A lot of shows have their own canned applause. That was real applause. Why was I being ejected from this particular meeting in Danville, Virginia, or Pennsylvania County, actually, a supervisor's meeting, because they were having a discussion about trying to get it to the point, or to keep it to the point where somebody prayed out loud in their, like an invocation at the beginning. I wasn't for that. I don't want to hear a Baptist praying. Their prayers are not going past the ceiling. Somebody said, well, how dare you say that? Do they want to hear a Jehovah's Witness praying? I don't know that they ever have a Jehovah's Witness praying. They used to didn't have women praying. Now they have women praying as well. And what was really going on is the atheists in the area actually were tired of having to listen to these fake preachers that they knew were fake, and they were putting forth a petition to try to get rid of it. And we were there. And it ended up, Mark McMinnis ended up asking the question. He did get to actually address the Pennsylvania Supervisors meeting and say, whose God are you praying to tonight? The Methodist God? Not the same as the Baptist God. They don't have the same rules. They oppose each other. And what's going to happen if you have a Muslim and it's his turn to pray? Are you going to say he can't pray? See, people are not thinking through what is actually going on. But my point of bringing this up is this is the platform that we occupy. On a regular basis, we're taking the hard thoughts. Is it not a hard thought? We have atheists everywhere now. We have individuals who are Islamic everywhere now, all kinds of Eastern religions. And are we going to have them pray at a football game in the South? See, these are hard thoughts. They're difficult to deal with because most people are saying, no, that is not going to happen. When the question is, then why not? If one religion is just as good as another, and if it is the case, why not have an atheist get up and recite an atheistic prayer from some mythological character, before Christ's time? See how that goes? All of these things should be tolerated if we're actually going to go down this road. And so what we're actually saying tonight is we've got to take a look at ourselves and realize that there is some thinking that needs to be done. In Acts chapter 26, verse 9, you have Paul doing that very thing. He's talking to the religious individuals in his world, and he's talking to the powers that be. That would be the Romans. It would be the Jewish hierarchy. It would actually be the persons who have been put over Judea and Palestine in his particular area. I verily thought, and he could not go to trial in Jerusalem. They had to change the venue. You ever heard of that? The bias was such that he could not get a fair trial in Jerusalem. And a matter of fact, they were going to kill him if they ever got a chance to get even close to him. That's because of the way the Jews are. I verily thought with myself that I ought to do many things contrary to the name of Jesus of Nazareth. You know what? I am a follower of Jesus. And do you know what? In this area that we occupy, this particular county, two-county area, I live in Pennsylvania County, do you realize that there are people that actually think they need to do things contrary to me, to Caleb and I, to members of the Church of Christ that happen to be in their midst, us in general? That's exactly right. A week ago, I played a video where a guy said, if your daddy had to come to this funeral, I was going to mess him up. Why? What have I done but want to memorialize his father-in-law before the whole two-state area and show what a kind, wonderful man he was, hard-working individual, and how he had changed his behavior from a man-made religion to being in the church that you read about in the New Testament and being a better citizen of this particular county. Fantastic man, Gene Bowers. Can't say enough about him. Which things I also did in Jerusalem. Many of the saints did I shut up in prison, having received authority from the chief priests, and when they were put to death, I gave my voice against them. Now, it may be the case that you're yourself not trying to put us to death, but you know, there is such a thing as character assassination. You would like to assassinate our character and make us out to be bad individuals. Yesterday on The Buzz and today on the local talk show that's at 4 o'clock, an individual was trying to work on my character by bringing up things that are in my real life, that some are very shortly past and some are 40 years ago. But guess what? I don't mind that. One of the reasons I don't mind that is because when he does that, when he makes character assassinations, you know what it really does? It demonstrates the way he feels about other individuals who are similar to me. You're on What Does the Bible Say? Yes, you're live on What Does the Bible Say?
Yes. I was listening to what Johnny is saying. Is I'm on TV?
Yes.
I was listening to what he was saying. He was wondering why people have a problem with him. And then, like what he was saying about they couldn't be, Jesus couldn't get a fair trial in Nazareth. And that's the same thing happened with me. I couldn't get a fair trial here, but the lie that they accused me of, and they had to take me to Patrick County. So the problem is the way that people think about Jesus. We read the same book, but we got different thoughts about Jesus, and then we want to claim Jesus for ourselves, and Jesus is not for one church. He's for all that will submit to what he taught.
So you need to
get this is what we don't want to do. We want to put it in our way.
Malvester.
The way we see it.
Malvester, I'm going to cut you off if you don't stop for a second.
Okay.
Why didn't you put a scripture with that when you said Jesus is for all churches? You know that Jesus doesn't, actually, he's not for all of these white churches that are, let's say, filled with former KKK members.
Well, you know what? That part right there is something that this country live and strive off of. And how do you know who the Ku Klux Klan man is anyway?
I do.
Some say they're not, and some say they are. But you don't know what they're thinking.
I know what they're thinking. Do you not remember that we have actually debated the KKK? And didn't get any credit for it. I would have thought you would have given us credit. I was set up to debate the gentleman that came in from Chicago right before I had cancer, and then I had to go have the cancer treatment, and James Oldfield ended up debating him. And Stan Martin ended up changing. He's the Grand Wizard of Henry County area. He ended up changing his position about mixed races, and I don't think you actually hold the position that he changed to. He changed that it's all right to intermarry. And so I think we made progress there. You probably don't think we made progress, but you should give me credit for us actually.
I understand why he changed.
Why did he change?
Because he wanted seed to make it into the hereafter.
He wanted what now?
He wanted his speed to make it into the hereafter.
Well, he changed by his own admission because I taught him.
See, the satanic mind have to be destroyed.
Okay, so
everybody that
Malvester, you know you can get your own airtime, and so I'm not going to let you go off into the stuff that you go off into. I appreciate you calling, and I wonder if you are going to give me credit for actually saying that you were saying right in that segment with myself, you, and Tony Jones. Did I not actually say that to a great degree you were actually making sense when you were talking about our minds being taught through the school system and that we had been favored, and a lot of times we don't even know it?
All right. Well, it's bigger than that too. And you know what, you're right on that level, but it's bigger than that.
Well, I want to keep this like on target tonight. I'm going to start showing what was done to Ms. Hodge in 2013. And the reason I'm doing is because I want everybody to see who was where. I was with her publicly. The mayor set me down. The chief of police told me to take it to Channel 18. And I'm about to show who was actually against her. And so I appreciate you calling.
All
right. Call again sometime. Okay. That was the individual, and that should actually show you the capability that we have as far as being able to be friendly, amiable to other individuals. As I mentioned, we've debated 2 or 3 different times with Malvester. We've met on many different occasions, and on an open talk show, and then he calls in and we have a civil conversation. Now, what was Paul doing? Paul's mind was messed up too. He thought that he needed to hurt individuals and do things against them, and I punished them off in every synagogue and compelled them to blaspheme. Being exceedingly mad against them, I persecuted them even into strange cities. This is the kind of thing that we're talking about. When we start talking about a belief system that we have, it can actually create inside of us a person that ends up being like that. Paul thought he was doing right, and he was a zealot. When you have people that are thinking that they're right and they're zealots for their cause, oftentimes they're very unreasonable, and he wasn't being taught while the rest of the Jewish people around him, many of them, were converting to Christianity. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to make sure that you get a visual of Sharon Hodge and what she was saying in 2013. Take a listen.
And you still sound extremely upset today.
And that is correct, and that is where I stand.
Are you going to seek...
And the mayor called me this morning, so you know, so you might want to call her, to apologize to me for her not saying something about it last night, and how can we use it as a teachable experience, and maybe she and I need to go to the governor's school and talk with the students so that they can understand how images like that can be offensive.
So the mayor called you called you today and said that she...
Okay, let me give you a heads up here. This is her talking somewhere else, and she is talking live to another local television station in our area about what actually took place, and if it's film footage that they're playing so that you can know who the person is.
Should have stood up for you?
Yes. So you need to call her and talk to her.
Were you surprised at the reaction from the other city council members?
That's Danny Turner. He is running for re-election right now. She is actually gone.
Mark Stroud and Danny Turner, no, that's exactly what I'd expect. Why do you think that I ran for city council? What did I say when I was campaigning? The good old boy network is going to stop. Okay? I am a voice for black people. Okay? I am not one of your locally homegrown house Negroes. I don't shuffle, I don't tap dance, and I don't take that garbage.
Well,
I will speak out on racially offensive matters, and that was one of them.
But in truth, isn't it true that you represent all the citizens of Martinsville?
I certainly do. And some of the citizens of Martinsville need to wake up, because I am black. I am also a voice for black people. And
I'm basically going to say that you may be saying that Sharon Brooks Hodge has an attitude. I don't think she does. I don't know her personally as well as Caleb does. But on occasions, Caleb would have intimate conversations with her about her politics, and basically her life in general, how she has arranged her life, and she is not an attitudinal person. She is simply taking up for her right as an individual, and she's talking about the Good Old Boy Network. Well, let's bring the Good Old Boy Network to the front. Remember, I was at the city council. I had this placard that I had up at the city council, and that was not allowed. I wasn't really allowed to make my case. And when I sat down, Danny Turner had this to say. Take a listen.
Turner. I would like to thank everybody for coming out today and expressing the opinions. One of the things that stuck in my mind, one of the ministers said that because the instructors didn't know about the hate and racism, that they need to be taught. I think that's an example of exactly what we shouldn't be doing. Instructors didn't know about the hate and racism, that they need to be taught. I think that's an example of exactly what we shouldn't be doing.
Okay, what part of exposing evolution do you think we shouldn't be involved in doing? Does Danny Turner believe what the father of evolution, who is Charles Darwin, does he believe what he says? Does he believe what's being taught in the public school system? Is he an evolutionary individual? Does he go to church? Is his pastor one of the weak-spined individuals who gives in to evolution, and they call it theological evolution? They basically give the evolutionists all of the time they want to, and they just say that Genesis is a myth, Garden of Eden, the whole bit, first 2 chapters, it's a myth, and they go ahead and let the evolutionary theory stand because they don't want to be called persons who are in the Stone Age. So what did I have wrong? The instructors are instructing our people continually to this day that the white race is in fact the top of the food chain, or however you want to say it, the elite, the end of evolution. And when we continue to evolve, the white person is actually in ahead as far as the race is concerned. And I'm not talking about races of people, I'm talking about the foot race to the top. That is where our school system, our instructors are. And our Natural History Museum, which was over a $20 million venture, and we actually brought a PhD into that Natural History Museum just as it was opening, and he was going to debate with the people in the Natural History Museum as the homeschoolers went through and listened to the back and forth. And they ended up backing out after we had already paid our fees and had the Henry County Homeschool Association lined up to go in. They shut the museum down rather than let us go because the news showed up. What does the news have to do with anything? The news was going to demonstrate that Charles Darwin is a fraud, and this all is a fraud, this all is a fraud, and this is them. They still have their hood on. They are pretending that they're teaching something that is factual science, and in fact, it is a theory, and it is keeping racism alive. And so you have individuals who are basically saying, we're tired of that. Sharon Hodge was saying that she was tired of that. Let's continue to listen to what Danny says.
And that we should give our children a whole lot more credit than what people of my age are giving them. And very proudly made the motion to display the quilt downstairs for a year.
Okay, he made the motion. You don't know what the quilt is, but we'll get there. All right. Listen to basically, now this is a bit lengthy, but this is me doing what I do at the city council when they were talking about the quilt, which actually has this little icon. Y'all, this little icon was at the bottom of the quilt, and it was a bridge to enlightenment, and on the other side of the bridge was a golden boy, and on the unenlightened side was this black figure. And Sharon Brooks Hodge took offense to it as a historical item that should be displayed and should let stand as it is. It continues the rhetoric, the same rhetoric that you're getting in the local school system and in Darwin's book and all through academia. So that's what is taking place. Now, I'm going to be making my display, and then I think you're going to be very surprised who is on the other side against Ms. Hodge. Take a listen.
And the
reason why I want to present that and have it on record, it's going to be on television, already has been on television. And I'm Johnny Robertson, 701 Valhalla Lane, Cascade, Virginia. As I think about what to say, this is unbelievable. The thought process of trying to heal a situation like this is, it really is beyond my capability, so I'll tell you that I spent a lot of time praying there while we were listening to the comments. And I've had nearly 6 weeks to discuss this back and forth with the community on television. And so some individuals here may already be sick of what I've said and have had to say so far. But I hope tonight that I can say something that would be beneficial. And the presentation that I presented, it was a question, who's keeping the racism going? And I would like to say that the only person that I've heard tonight that has addressed it, and I really do apologize, and I think he's already gone, but I think his name was Mr. Dalton. I think he was sitting right there. Someone can remind me of his name. He brought up the fact that history is what has really been teaching us, and he brought the museum, and that's exactly what I was going to talk about as well. That placard has that presentation has a quote from Charles Darwin, 1871, page 200, Descent of Man. And in that book he says the Negro is closer to the gorilla than the Caucasian. And that is a premise that our scientific community builds upon on a regular basis. 1960 biology book, the biology books that was used when I was in high school, has a depiction of the same thing. It is much more pronounced than it is today. When you see the evolutionary pictorial today, the colors have been changed.
I don't understand where you're going with this.
Well, I think it's possible that you don't understand that.
No, I think...
Evolutionary pictorial today, the colors have been changed.
I don't understand where you're going with this.
Well, I think it's possible that you don't understand that.
No, I think you need to have a seat.
Now,
please have a seat.
I haven't crossed any of the lines that you said that we were going to cross, but I'm speaking to the historical point that needs to be made. And I know, Americans, that I have not crossed any of the stipulations that you said.
As a presiding officer, I think you have. Please have a seat.
And it's based upon what, so we can have it for the record?
For the record, I think you're trying to make a point that is not pertinent to these chambers at this point. Please have a seat. And out of respect for everyone here, please do.
Okay. Thank you. I'll go on.
That's the chief of police, and he basically pats me on the back. His son was a member of the Church of Christ, also out of the Episcopalian faith, and he said, take it to Channel 18. What does that mean? Take it to the local television station and really talk to the entire community, because they're not going to let me have my say. And Mary Atkins, I basically was not being sarcastic with her. She doesn't understand. I doubt very seriously that, and in the people that are in here, they resemble how Paul was talking about himself, very zealous about their cause. And Danny Turner just flat out said that what I was saying did not need to be said. Well, I'm going to go ahead and quote Kwame Ture in the right context. Chad Martin pulled him out of a context and tried to put it together into something that he actually admitted that he had concocted in one of our last city council meetings, one that Caleb went to and taped, and Charles taped it, and it's been playing and playing and playing. Every day it's being referenced. Kwame Ture in a movie said, if not now, then when? If not us, then who? And he probably was quoting somebody else, because I don't even know that Kwame Ture is even a real individual. And Chad didn't know who quoted it either. But as you continue to watch, somebody's going to replace me here.
Anyone else?
Mayor, City Council, thank you for allowing me to speak. Chad Martin, 111 Hammond Drive.
You're going to need to speak up, Chad.
Sorry about that. I kind of wrestle with this because the biggest worry for me is how we look nationally, and will jobs come to this area. One of the things that, the interesting thing, looking at those kids, they did a wonderful presentation. Love the quilt, except, and I think we need to rethink this to bring peace to this area. The interesting thing, talking to a historian this weekend about the actual Philpott Dam, when it was done, when the CCCs put the money out to put that Philpott Dam out, some of those very men that worked on the Philpott Dam were African American. Those same African American men was not allowed to use the bathroom at the Philpott Dam, just to put it in context of what Ms. Hodge is actually talking about.
Okay, I just really have no idea what he is actually saying right now. And the reason why I don't is because I know what he's going to say next. So it's almost like I want to be with you, But, you know, she's not very popular, and she has actually put her foot down and listened as he continues.
And so there are some people who grew up with those images in their mind. And so when it says that the little black man represents ignorance, I think we need to rethink this as a community. I think we need to rethink that quilt being put up. I think it's a total smack in the face to some of those people who grew up in that time period. 2, I have another recommendation to bring peace to the situation. I have come back to this area because I love this area. Whether it be good or bad, whether Beethoven even said on his deathbed, I've learned to look at the world with all evil and still love it. Ms. Hodge, I think you was very disrespectful in some of the things that you said about this community as a whole. I have never in my life seen a public servant say you care about somebody and then go right back and disrespect everybody as a community. For a recommendation, you have apologized for some things. I would like to hear an apology for that as well. I would also like to see you actually do some community service for the governor's school as well as for the Boys and Girls Club.
Now, Sharon Brooks Hodge is a very accomplished woman. In anybody's book, she is an accomplished woman. I have high regard for her. My feelings for her and respect for her went through the roof after Caleb began to be related to her, able to talk with her, gain our trust. We gained her trust, put it that way. Just tremendous respect. And I don't know what in the world Chad is saying she needs to go to do community service in the governor's school. And that's what she was referencing when she was actually being interviewed previously, when you were listening to her talk about what she wasn't putting up with and the Good Old Boy Network, and basically Danny Turner saying that the instructors who instructed us that the white man is at the top of the food chain, in the evolutionary food chain, that's fine. Johnny, the minister, was actually wrong. You know, just saying that I'm wrong doesn't prove it. I mean, are we really going to say that we're evolving and we're still in this race and the white man is ahead? Is it the case that you actually have put a stumbling block in front of the black man? In the sense that, psychologically speaking, it is very difficult to overcome something that is just a settled fact in a classroom. When you're in a college classroom, as far as evolution is concerned, it is a settled fact. We debated Larry Serber. He's a physics teacher, taught over in North Carolina, a mechanical engineer, had his master's in mechanical engineering. In his mind, theory didn't even enter in anymore. He finally had to admit it is a theory. But as far as the way he acts and behaves, it is fact. And so when you teach something as fact, and everybody is accepting it as fact, like just the fact a minute ago when Malvester tried to say that Jesus is in all the churches. That's basically what y'all are actually being fed. He wasn't willing to actually say that Jesus was in the churches with the people that actually still adhere to the hierarchy associated with the mentality of the KKK. He didn't really, he started, I don't know what he was doing, but we both know, I'm saying he and I both know, that he doesn't really even think what he was actually saying. He is Nation of Islam, and he thinks white people are in fact the devil. And so we let him go ahead and come on in order just to allow him to have a platform from the standpoint of, you know, it's not like we're just going to keep all voices that disagree with us out. We're not going to do that. That in itself should say something to you about us. But what I want to make sure that we key in on tonight is Chad Martin is still, he was not a city council person then, but he is a city council person now. And he is involved in a quarrel associated with another city council person, actually her husband, who said some things on Facebook about one of his employees. And our city council meeting the other night was basically hijacked as a result of Chad concocting, he agreed that he was actually behind it, getting the woman that was fired up in front of the mayor. And Kathy Lawson, do you think Kathy Lawson told the lady that she needed to sit down? that this wasn't a venue, that what she was talking about was not pertinent to this venue? No, no, no. They let it play all the way out, and it just stirred up and inflamed an entire community, and now we're going into the elections, and this is basically what we have. And so, what did you think about that? I'm saying those of you who are watching in Martinsville and Henry County, I doubt very seriously that all of you all are seeing this right now, because I know that everybody doesn't have cable anymore. And so it will basically be up to our YouTube in order to get this information out. It's likely that Charles will put this possibly on Facebook Live so that other individuals who depend on him to disseminate information that they had forgotten about. Chad Martin telling, man, the audacity of telling Sharon Brooks Hodge that she needed to apologize even more and she needed to do community service. What in the world? And so, what happens after this? Take a listen. Okay, let me set this up for you. This is after the city council meeting. I was in the city council meeting. I was not allowed to give my presentation. I was not allowed to show my placard, which was very pertinent to what was going on here, because we have been in a huge struggle with the Natural History Museum. The higher up individuals in their mind who continue to spend our money on arts and culture and things of that nature rather than deal with the real problems that we have in this area. And so we're now ending, and the news is standing around, and this is Sharon Brooks Hodge, and this coming up is Naomi Muse Hodge. Let's take a listen.
Excuse me.
Yeah, thank you, Justice. I'm going down there.
Okay, Naomi Muse Hodge in the green, Sharon Brooks Hodge, who's being criticized here, and she's talking about going down to the parking lot and getting a book. Naomi Hodge is telling her that she has something to do. Take a listen.
Get it. I'm going down now if you want to get it.
I can't believe the last one, but it's okay.
She actually said that she was going to say something to Johnny Robertson. Why? Why? Listen.
Oh, it's all right. It's okay.
It's going to be all right.
I'm glad to keep rolling. That's right. Keep right. Rolling with your and don't.
I just know your heart. You're a sweet person, and I know that you did not mean an insult. The way that I just know your heart. You're a sweet person, and I know that you did not mean.
You may be looking at my body language, and somebody might be saying, you know, Johnny's really not comfortable with her. Look how he's drawing back. Listen, when you're in front of the city council and you're standing up to the dignitaries of your area, can I tell you something? When you're breathing hard, a lot of time your breath does not smell good when you get through. I already had a lozenge in my mouth, and I did not want Ms. Hodge to go away with, like, I stopped to talk to Johnny, and boy, talk about breath that is awful. I was basically trying to get myself composed after having been in there and being a target of the individuals that were in there. So continue to listen to her.
An insult. I don't think you did.
I didn't catch the insult.
Well,
She knew where I was going. That's her pet project.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't. Just the timing, the way it was presented, it came off insulting, and I did not think that you meant it, because I've talked to you, and I've got a feeling for you, and you're a good person.
The Darwin quote?
Yeah, this eighth thing, you know.
Yeah.
But I thought, I didn't think that you.
Oh no, I was headed in another direction altogether.
So I just wanted you to know that.
Do you think that's why she put me down?
Yes, I think that because that has been a racist thing that has gone on for years.
Yeah.
You know, that the black man is next to them. So
I was about to put it in its place. Let me tell you.
But I know you were. But you see, you took too long to get to your point. Okay,
My little placard made
I just know that your heart's not there. I know that you're a good person. So I just wanted to come by and let you know that I know this. That's all. That's all. Okay, so God bless you. Okay, you have a good day.
Did you feel like they were fair tonight?
Well, I'll have to say, Charles, just how Naomi Hodge. She seemed to say that they thought I was using a racial slur, and that's why the mayor shut me down. I think that the mayor knew exactly where I was going, which is to her pet project, all of their pet projects, which is that museum. But the museum is the perpetuator of the race issue, saying that man came from a monkey and the black man's closer. So see, I was just about to build an argument, and I don't really know, did she really misunderstand me? I know Ms. Hodge, the other Hodge, Sharon Hodge, did not misunderstand me. She knew where I was going. So it's like Chief Rogers said, take it to another station.
I'm sure you'll be talking about it tomorrow.
Definitely.
Okay, now, just at this juncture, it just happens to fit. Yesterday on the Star News broadcast, there's a gentleman that calls in, and he basically, he says that I have some kind of mental problems. But he calls in every day, makes jokes, and he tries to castigate the host and belittle him and make smart remarks and whatnot. And he ended up saying yesterday that I was a menace. You know, this is the way individuals try to characterize you when you are trying to get something done. And y'all, I have a catalog of videos like this. This wasn't for him. This actually is on topic for what's going on in our area. If you're a person who is in our area, you need to realize that things aren't necessarily as they seem. When you see the different individuals that are posturing in front of you, and you think that these persons are one way, and then you hear in a city council meeting where Chad Martin actually tells Sharon Brooks Hodge that she needs to go to governor's school and do community service and apologize because she's been disrespectful to the entire community. What in the world? And who does he represent? I'm saying really and truly, who is his constituency when he was making all of those statements? Because on the one hand, it sounded like you're going a certain direction, and then you turn around and backhand Ms. Hodge. And so you basically saw who the two Hodges ended up talking with, or Miss Naomi Hodge. Yes, you're on What's the Bible Say. You're on What's the Bible Say.
Yes. Hey, this is Johnny Robertson. This is Jackson. I'm all the way up in Indianapolis, Indiana, man. Just wanted to first off say that I appreciate you and your son Caleb, man, and the things y'all been doing. This is definitely it's a privilege to, and matter of fact, an inspiration. You know what I'm saying? For me to give it my all when it comes to like my walk in Christ. And I did want to say this though, like watching you tonight, just wondering because my mindset as a Christian in the Church of Christ has always been being an African American in front of those who may not know me. I'm 6'4", 250 pounds, and the perception of the world tells you that you might want to watch out or not hang around a person like that at nighttime. You know, that's what they'll say, right? But my mind that what I look like is where I came from. But the things that I do and I say, that's who I really am. So I always try to, you can see that I'm black, but I always try to show that I'm a Christian and the things that I say and things that I do according to what the Bible says. I did have a question for you, though, if I can ask. The question is, because I have 3 girls. Remember when they were young, they used to sleep in the room by themselves at nighttime, and they wasn't afraid. And it wasn't until they started watching videos or seeing certain images that they learned how to become afraid, or they learned fear. And I started to wonder, and I'm just throwing this out there to see what you think. In the schooling system, when they start teaching about slavery and how that whole event goes, I believe that even the teaching of that sometimes, I'm not saying that we shouldn't know our history. I'm not saying that at all. But I just wonder, do you think that, and I think it's sometimes that we teach it with the things that we show or our style of delivery as far as the schooling system goes.
Well, I'm totally opposed to the public school system, and it is there's been research done that likens it to the prison system, the fear and intimidation, the hierarchy, the ability for certain individuals to end up reigning over other individuals, and you don't have enough people in authority to stop it, so they just kind of ignore it. So number one, I am totally against the public school system and the fact that they teach evolution and other things. And what did you think about Bill Cosby? Had you ever seen that footage before?
No, I never have seen that footage before. I used to watch the Cosby Show in middle school. I'm 33 years old, so I kind of missed some of his earlier years. But when he got later, I've seen some, and I always watch his show just because I love the family and how they showed how a black family could be successful. You don't really see that a lot. So I always watched it and try to model my family somewhat. We can be successful as well. That's all. But yeah, I've never seen that before.
Well, it's something that I think has been hidden maybe. I was very impressed, and it really made me wonder if he did not end up being a target because of some of the talking points that he really did have, and the success he had, like with you, in reprogramming your psyche, because there's no doubt about it that the public school system, with the history as they portray it, it breeds fear and it makes us distrust each other, and that really is the key. I mean, in our city council right now, that's what's going on. Everybody is up in there trying to talk about each other and keep them from trusting each other. And so I'm presenting information that doesn't allow some of them to get away with it, because I doubt very seriously anybody remembered Chad Martin actually what I call castigating Sharon Brooks Hodge. And so it's good to hear from you. Indianapolis, Indiana.
Indianapolis, Indiana, yep.
All right. Been watching very long?
Actually, somebody introduced me to y'all in the last couple of months, and I've been going through your videos, man, checking it all out, man.
Well, appreciate your call, and very nice to make your acquaintance.
Oh, no problem.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, folks. Indianapolis, Indiana, and very candid discussion with Mr. Parrish. I believe he introduced himself. I'm not sure. Jackson Parrish, and 33 years old. I learned a lot tonight about him, and looking forward to meeting him at some point. I have several different videos still left, but we're running out of time, or we are out of time, and I just want you to remember, y'all, we take the hard road. There's no doubt about it. The things that we're doing, I happen to be friends with Chad. He may not feel me to be very friendly to him right now, but I would just say to him, remember yourself while you were talking to Sharon Brooks Hodge. And, it's not personal. And also, I would say to those of you who maybe think that I have a problem with Chad personally, you might also stop to think, when's the last time you talked to Malvester? Would you give him time of day? Would you think that you would even be in a position to even have a conversation with him, because you're so used to not disdaining to talk to someone that could be totally different than you and have different ideas and a different religion? No, that is not how we're going to get things done, and it's not how we're going to make progress. We have to have dialogue and try to respect. I was trying to be very respectful to him. I hope that Malvester will call again. I think about him. I have a load of videos where myself and Malvester have talked, and Caleb and Malvester have talked. And so we consider him to be a person who is a soul, and we love him, and we would like to be able to work together. He and I have talked about doing a show together, because we do actually have some of the same ideas and same thoughts when we're talking about how the school system is. Appreciate you for being with us tonight. And as always, we're hoping that you enjoyed What Does the Bible Say? And if you did, tell a friend about it and tell them that they can watch YouTube, get on our YouTube channel. All you have to do is simply type in Johnny Robertson into a YouTube or a Google search, and most likely we'll be the first one that comes up. Appreciate you. Good night. God bless you. Always ask for it. What does the Bible say?